Back in their reaction, we saw how Ultron returns in VisionQuest Marvel Phase 5. See what the Marvels have to say about this. Check this out.
The modern age of the MCU is seeing the resurgence of several fan-favorite characters spanning the multiverse for decades, with both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returning to the limelight in No Way Home, and Sir Patrick Stewart taking up the role of Professor Charles Xavier yet again in the Multiverse of Madness. And the returns aren't slowing down anytime soon. The likes of Emil Blonsky and Jonathan Schmidt returning after roughly a decade, and we know that Deadpool 3 is currently in early development with Hugh Jackman signed on for one last outing as his iconic iteration of Wolverine. One particular return, though, seems to have flown under the radar, yet it might spell drastic implications for the future of the multiverse itself. So, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's discuss how Ultron might return and what this might mean for the next several phases. The rumors of Ultron's return specifically paint him as the antagonist in the upcoming series VisionQuest, which is set to see White Vision on his journey to discovering who he was previously, after regaining his memories in WandaVision. So let's discuss a few ways that Ultron can return and in what forms we may see him in. In an article published by Cosmic Circus, it is alleged that fragments of his core code still exist in the main MCU timeline, and they are currently lying dormant. If this rumor is true, then it would mean that this version of Ultron is the same iteration which previously fought against the Avengers all the way back in 2015, and there is some evidence to support this claim. At the end of Age of Ultron, it was stated that the Avengers had to destroy every last Ultron sentry in order to truly destroy the AI, after Vision locked him out of the internet, choking his escape routes. In Spider-Man Homecoming, however, we see that the Department of Damage Control has several decommissioned Ultron sentries in their facilities, as Peter handles a discarded Ultron head. While this drone is no longer active, it proves that the components were not destroyed completely after the Battle of Sokovia, and several fragments of Ultron likely were not disposed of properly. If this is the case, then it's perfectly reasonable to believe that either this head or something like it is still housing enough of Ultron's code for him to rebuild himself once he is awakened. Ultron in the comics is a notoriously difficult enemy to truly defeat simply because he can re-upload his code to any network device and reassemble himself after his supposed many deaths. This means that Ultron is never truly gone, and to translate this precedent into live action would be an authentic character trait to use for Ultron. We also know that the Department of Damage Control has not only been rising in prominence, but is set to have a much larger role in the MCU moving forward, and we've already seen signs of this over the past couple of months. They served as a primary antagonist force for Kamala Khan throughout the course of the Ms. Marvel series, and we know that they are slated to return in Armor Wars in order to oppose Rhodey. Armor Wars in particular is set to see them using Tony Stark's technology for their own purposes, commissioning Rhodey to step in and protect the Stark legacy, which might play into Ultron's return. If this is true, then they might probe their inactive Ultron sentries for technology or information, inadvertently releasing Ultron in the process. Thanks to Ms. Marvel again, we know that they're already using Stark's gadgetry for their own purposes, as we see Kamala being pursued by Mysterio's holodrones, which were originally designed and produced by Stark to be used by Peter. Given this, it wouldn't be a surprise to learn that they have also been experimenting with what remains of Ultron that we already know them to have in their possession. Even if they want to take mechanical components from the sentries without tapping into the code itself, they could easily reactivate some dormant code without intending to do so, even without knowing that Ultron was still ever present. We also know that if this isn't the case, then not only is the multiverse a viable option to see Ultron's return, but we know of one particular variant who is still out there, waiting to be released. At the end of What If, we know that Infinity Ultron was imprisoned by Strange Supreme and exiled to a pocket dimension from which he allegedly cannot escape. The Watcher, however, warns of the calamity that could ensue if this particular malicious variant were to break free and return to the multiverse. And given the ferocity with which Ultron was able to consume entire universes, it's not unreasonable to believe that he might make his escape at some point in the future. This variant, however, seems much too powerful for Vision to combat alone, and if Infinity Ultron were to return, it would likely be much bigger than a standalone series starring just one hero. What it does do, however, is leaves us to wonder just how powerful our Ultron can become if given access to the right resources. While 616 Ultron doesn't have access to the Infinity Stones, we know that Infinity Ultron was able to conquer the entire planet before Thanos even arrived, leaving us to wonder just how dangerous Ultron might be if he is to return. As of right now, though, the likeliest explanation seems to be in line with Comic Circus's claim wherein pieces of Ultron code still exist in the mainline universe, just waiting to be uncovered. It does beg the question, however, as to how many of Ultron's memories survived his initial destruction at the end of Age of Ultron. We know that all of his data was saved in each respective century, implying that he will very likely fully remember the events of Phase 2, including his creation of Vision and the original intention behind his design, which could factor into his final plan in VisionQuest. Since Vision is without his memories and is easily subject to manipulation due to his confusion, Ultron might seek to revive his initial plan to infect Vision's body. In the ending of WandaVision, we know that White Vision was recreated with many of the same components as the original synthezoid, including a vibranium chassis and a nigh indestructible exterior, making him an optimal target for a recently revived Ultron, especially if he is without a primary form as of now. Many fans were notoriously very unhappy with how Ultron was depicted in Age of Ultron, and while many believe he was done justice in What If, it is likely that he will see a resurgence in the MCU and likely done justice as well, being a major threat for VisionQuest and potentially even going forward. And I believe that this would get a ton of fans on board in the VisionQuest series. And with Tony Stark no longer here to be the gatekeeper for Ultron, it appears as if Ultron is being primed to be a major threat, and a threat that personally I cannot wait to see again, and I hope that he is done justice. But anyway, my friends and fellow watchers, what do you think of our theory? How do you think Ultron will return? And do you believe in this report and the ramifications when he finally does resurface? Do you believe that Ultron is out there lying dormant, either in the multiverse or on 616? And do you think that there's merit to this claim and report? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team. Be wary of any rogue AI, and I hope that you have a great day.
Yeah, please subscribe, like this video, and see you guys. Bye.